that, like one man said his wife had died and he loved her so much and he couldn't live without her, and he wanted to know, would she be waiting for him, or would she even know that he missed her? If you want to see them on the other side, of course they'll wait for you. And over there, they said, it's like the blink of an eye, and you'll be there. So you have to go on with your life here, realizing you will be reunited with your loved ones. And then from there on, it's a whole other scenario of what you have to do. Anyway, when the person leaves the body, you are never alone. It is very important. People are so afraid that they're going to be alone when they die. You are never alone. Even in life, you are never alone. And that's what a lot of people from the mail I get think they are. They think they're just thrown out here and they have no one with them. When you come into a life, you have a guide or a guardian angel assigned to you, whichever one you want to call it. Every religion and every culture in the world has the belief in guardian angels, guides, however you want to call them. When you come into a life, you have one assigned to you who is to take care of you and help you all through your life. Now, they can't interfere. They're there to help, but you have to ask them for help. You've probably heard stories of emergencies whenever they've had to step in and save the person. Those are real stories. They really happen. But as a rule, they can't interfere. But if there's something in your life that you want and you want help with, all you have to do is ask your guardian angel to help you with it. They are so happy when you do that, because they say they cannot interfere, and they say, if you don't ask us for help, we have no one to assist. And it's very frustrating because they know what they can do. And I've seen what they can do. If you ask them for help, they can do miracles. They can make things happen that are all utterly impossible. But first you have to realize you have someone with you at all times. Now, you may have more than one. If your life is complicated, you could have as many as 4 or 5, depending on which direction your life is going. But I like to believe you have one, main one, that stays with you your entire life. Because if your life takes a sudden direction and goes off in a different direction, like mine did, then some of the guides will change places, have new ones coming in that will have more expertise in the field that you're going into or the next part of your adventure. But there will always be that one who is with you all of your life to help you. So if you have someone with you from the day you were born, how could you possibly be alone when you die? These are what I call the greeters, because when you die, there will always be someone there to go with you and show you where to go. And they may be friends, relatives, but if they're not, at least your guide will be there, because there will always be someone to take you where you're supposed to go. And I know many of you have probably sat in hospital rooms when someone was dying, and they see invisible people around them in the bed, around the bed, and they talk to them, or they'll say, "Oh, there is Aunt so-and-so, she's here." And these are real. It's real to that person. These are the people that have come to meet them when they cross over so they can take them to where they're supposed to go. They're the greeters. They're the guides to take them to make sure they go to the right place on the other side. And this is very important, I think, that people realize that. I've talked to nurses and doctors who have been in hospital rooms too, and they talk about the patients seeing things that they can't see, seeing people that they can't see. Of course, a lot of times they think it's because of the drugs or because of the oxygen deprivation that they are dying, and so they're hallucinating. But I've heard it happen so many times, and I know they're all seeing the same thing. It is not a hallucination. They really are being met by someone who will take them on the rest of the journey. And I think people are afraid to die because they're afraid they're going to be alone. They should realize this. There will always be someone there to help them. Now, I have many people who have reported near-death experiences where they talk about leaving the body and going down tunnels and seeing glimpses of the other side, and it is extremely beautiful over there. And a lot of times they will have someone meet them, and they'll say, well, you know, it's not really your time. Do you want to go on, or you can go back? You can do either one. It's up to you. And in the cases of the near-death experiences, they will choose to go back, or sometimes they're pulled back. There's many different ways this can happen. But the people who have reported these to me talk about heading down the tunnel and seeing a huge bright light ahead of them. Well, the ones who have not completed the journey, naturally they haven't if they've come back. They started out on the journey, but they couldn't go all the way without really dying, so they have come back. The ones who have reported going just on the beginning of it are pulled back into the body. They never go through or all the way up to that bright light. I found out what that bright light is. You may call it God, you may call it the Creator, you may call it the Source, whatever it is you want to call it. It is a huge energy source. And until the person actually dies, they can still return to the body. Once they go through that huge bright light, this huge energy source, then they cannot return to the body. This is because you are connected at all times with the silver cord. I'm assuming most of the people listening know these metaphysical terms. But it is a real cord. It's been described almost like a bungee cord, but it keeps your soul attached to the body as long as you are alive. And when you go out of the body at night, everyone goes out of their body at night when they go to sleep. The body is the part gets tired. The soul doesn't have any need to sleep. It would get bored sitting around waiting for you to wake up so it can continue with what it's supposed to do. So the body is what needs sleep. And at that time, the soul, the real you, is off having all kinds of adventures, going back to the spirit side, conversing with its guides, its masters, and the elders, or maybe going off to other planets, other dimensions, all kinds of things. But when you get ready to wake up in the morning, the soul is more or less reeled in, I guess would be a good analogy, by reeling in that silver cord, and you must return to your body at that time, and you wake up in the morning. But when you go through the death experience, and you go through that huge bright light, at that moment, the silver cord is dissolved. That is when the death occurs. The silver cord is dissolved, and you're on the other side, and you cannot return to the body. The physical body begins to deteriorate immediately because the spark of life is now out of it, and you cannot return to the body after that. And it must remain on the other side. So that is what happens at that point of death. Then the greeters will take the person to where they're supposed to go. And it is so beautiful over there. They have no problem going on with it. But I have found 3 places that the soul goes to whenever it crosses over. They're called the lower astral, the middle astral, and the higher astral. The lower astral, I don't think there's much danger of anyone listening, I hope not, to going there. But these are the souls that have not progressed very far at all. They have done negative things in this lifetime, and when they die, they don't even really know they have died because they are so associated with that physical body. They're so associated with the physical life and all the pleasures of the physical life that they don't even realize they have died. These may be also called earthbound spirits. That means that they just hang around Earth because they don't know they can go anywhere else. And the greeter is there to help them, but they often don't see them or don't pay any attention to them, don't even know what they're there for. Most of them are trying to get back into their body, which of course is impossible. Sometimes the greeter will even show them the body in the mortuary, trying to convince them they have died, they don't have a body anymore. But they don't understand. They are still so connected with the physical. And a lot of these, if they were drug addicts or alcoholics, it becomes even more confusing to them. They don't understand what has happened, and they can't understand why people can't hear them and talk to them. And they will go hang around places like where they did before, like where people are using drugs or using alcohol, and they're trying to get the same pleasures and sensations that they got before. They're trying to do it by osmosis because naturally they don't have a body. After a while, this can get very frustrating because they realize something's different. And then finally they'll say, well, this is boring. I can't get the same sensations I had before. At that point, then they can become aware of the greeter, the one who has come to help them, and they can get through to them and tell them, okay, now are you ready to go where you're supposed to go? And they will take them onto the other side where they're supposed to be. So it's hard to say how long this condition could last until they would finally get tired of it and say, all right, there's something not right here. This is the lower astral. The majority of the people are not going to go to that part. Many of them go to what is called the middle astral. I've associated the middle astral with what most people would think heaven is like. It is extremely beautiful. They've all described it the same way. There's rolling hills, and there's a lake, and on the hills are all kinds of houses, and on any kind of a house you could possibly imagine. They are beautiful flowers. There's music in the air. And they said if you could imagine the most perfect flower, the most perfect rose, something with colors that are so vivid and so bright, they're not like any colors we have on earth.